She bought the windmill for $2,800, sight unseen, because the ceiling in their rented farmhouse sagged lower every rain and the landlord had stopped answering calls. Before we dive in, hit that follow button, because tomorrow's story is going to leave you speechless. The shut-off notice for the electricity came on a Wednesday in November. That same morning, Clara found black mildew racing across the baseboards of little Noah's room like veins under pale skin. She was already dressed for her night shift at the truck stop cafe, boots laced, apron in hand, when she noticed the spores pulsing outward as if alive. Noah, her 7-year-old, had been wheezing since September. The clinic doctor shrugged, said bad air, said they had to leave, said it like Clara kept spare houses in her glove box. For jobs still left them short. The farmer who owned the land had jacked the rent again. Her pickup needed a transmission she couldn't pronounce. The propane tank sat empty more days than full. And now 60 days to vacate a county where a one-bedroom went for more than both her paychecks combined. That night, after Noah finally slept propped on 3 pillows so he could breathe, Clara hunched over their cracked kitchen table with her ancient tablet, hunting for salvation on local Facebook listings. She scrolled past trailers with caved-in floors, rooms that ban children, and farmhouses twice as rotten as theirs. Her tea turned to ice beside her. The screen swam behind tears she refused to release. Then the ad appeared. Windmill for sale. Stone Ridge $2,800. As is. Cash. Today only. She nearly swiped past, who sells a windmill? But her thumb stopped. The lone photo showed a tall brick tower wearing a skeletal cap of rusted sails, standing alone on a bluff against a bruised sky. The little stone cottage curled against its base like a sleeping cat. Description: historic. Needs everything. Must close immediately. No banks. No questions. Clara stared. $2,800. She had $2,950 hidden in a coffee can above the fridge, every overtime dollar saved for Noah's future, money she'd sworn on her mother's grave never to touch. But what good was a future if they froze in the truck come January? She messaged before fear could talk her out of it. Next morning her phone buzzed while she poured burnt coffee for truckers. She slipped into the walk-in cooler, breath fogging among frozen hash browns. You the one about the windmill? The voice was gravel and tobacco, female, ancient. Yes. Cash today? Yes. Good. I'm leaving the state at dawn. Meet me at 3 or it goes to the scrapper. Clara should have asked why so cheap, if the roof held, if the county would even let someone live in a windmill. Instead she heard Noah's rattle in her head and 60 days shrank to 60 minutes. I'll be there. She called in dead for the evening shift, probably her last. The owner growled, pulled Noah out of school with a lie about a dentist, and pointed the rattling pickup west with $2,950 in a grease-stained envelope on the passenger seat. Noah pressed his face to the window when the planes opened up gold and endless. Are we going on an adventure? Biggest one yet, buddy. They met the seller in the dusty lot of the old grain co-op. Evelyn Hargrove was 80 if she was a day, mink stole over Carhartt overalls, leaning on a Cadillac the color of dried blood. Money. Clara's fingers shook as she lifted the envelope. Can we see it first? Evelyn glanced at the sky like it had personally offended her. Clock's ticking, girl. They followed the Cadillac down a washed-out track that braided through sunflowers gone wild. The road narrowed to 2 ruts, then to grass. Wind rocked the truck. And then the land fell away and there it was. The windmill rose from the prairie like a finger pointing at heaven, 40 feet of lichen-stained brick, sails long gone but the fantail still creaking in the breeze. The cottage clung to its hip, windows blind with plywood, roof tiles scattered like fallen leaves. A barbed wire gate sagged open under a sun-bleached sign, condemned, keep out. It's a giant's house, Noah whispered, eyes wide as plates. Clara saw ruin, but ruin with 4 walls, a hearth, and no black mold blooming while her son slept. And they were out of time. Why $2,800? Clara asked, boots planted in the chalky dust while Evelyn Hargrove leaned against the Cadillac's fender like the prairie wind might blow her clean away. Been in my husband's people since Grant was president, Evelyn snapped, spitting sunflower seed shells into the grass. He's dead. Kids don't want it. I'm headed to Arizona to die in peace. Take it or leave it. Clara glanced back at the truck. Noah had his forehead against the glass, fogging a little heart with every breath, eyes shining like he'd spotted Christmas morning in November. The shut-off notice, the mildew, the rattle in his chest every night, none of it reached this far out on the plains. She pulled the greasy envelope from her jacket and handed it over. Evelyn counted with cracked red nails, twice, then slapped a folded quitclaim deed and a skeleton key the length of a railroad spike into Clara's palm. The Cadillac roared to life, spun a rooster tail of dust, and vanished down the rutted track without so much as a wave. Are we really gonna live here? Noah whispered, already halfway out the door. Clara unhooked the barbed wire with trembling fingers. Looks that way, Captain. The cottage door fought like it had decided no one was welcome. Clara threw her shoulder into it until the warped oak gave up with a groan that rattled loose mortar from the windmill bricks overhead. Inside smelled of mouse nests and long-gone wheat dust. Sunlight knifed through knotholes in the plywood, striping the floor like prison bars. Hello? Noah shouted, and the tower answered back in 3 dusty echoes. Downstairs was a warren of bare rooms, parlor, dining room, a kitchen with a home comfort range big enough to roast a steer, a hand pump at the sink that coughed rust, then ran cold and sweet. We've got water, Clara breathed, and it felt like finding gold in the tap. They moved like kids in an abandoned fort. 6 rooms down, 4 bedrooms up, and a cast-iron spiral stair curling into the windmill's throat. Every door opened on mysteries. One bedroom painted midnight blue with silver stars that still glowed faintly when the lights from Clara's phone swept across them. Deep gouges on the inside of a wardrobe door, too high for a child. A study lined with shelves, but every book gone except one fat ledger bound in cracked calfskin. Noah found the servant stairs behind a false back in the pantry. They plunged into a root cellar darkness that smelled of potatoes and secrets. Tomorrow, Clara said, pulling him back. With real lights. But Noah's finger was already tracing letters someone had scratched into the stair stringer with a knife. What sleeps beneath wakes when the blades turn again. That night they unrolled sleeping bags on the puncheon floor while the prairie wind screamed through the broken sails overhead, making the whole tower moan like a living thing. Clara lay awake, cataloguing disasters, no propane, no electricity, 40 miles of dirt road to Noah's school, 3 jobs she'd probably just lost. Then she realized the moaning wasn't only the wind, it was the sound of her son breathing deep and even, no whistle, no cough, just the soft tide of sleep. Maybe that was worth $2,950 after all. Dawn came sideways through the gaps in the boards, turning the dusk gold. Noah shook her awake. Mom, you gotta see. He dragged a chair to the kitchen window. Through the slats the horizon exploded in rose and wheat gold, the sun rising straight out of the earth like it had been born there. It's the most beautiful thing I ever saw, Noah said. Clara wrapped her arms around him from behind. Wait till you see the rest of our life, kiddo. All day they liberated windows with a tire iron from the pickup. Light poured into rooms that hadn't seen it since Eisenhower. The roof leaked in only 7 places, the fieldstone walls could stand another century. The wiring was knob and tube but unbroken. Hope, stubborn as thistle, began to grow. It was late afternoon when Clara found the real secret. In the study she ran her palm across the ledger shelf and felt warmth where there should have been only cold wood. She pressed. A 4-foot section of bookcase swung inward on hidden pivots, exhaling air that smelled of candle smoke and old paper. Noah's eyes went saucer round. A secret door, Mom. A real one. Clara eased the hidden panel shut behind them and the closet-sized chamber sealed with a soft sigh, as if the windmill itself exhaled. A scarred oak table leaned against the curved brick, buried under brittle envelopes tied with faded ribbon. Over it hung an oval tintype of a woman in high-necked black, her gaze steady and unblinking. Noah's whisper bounced off the cedar, "Who's the lady?" Clara lifted the top letter. The paper crackled like dry leaves. Asterisk, my beloved Beatrice, 1893. The deed is done. The bankers see only ruin. When the true heir returns, the mill will open its veins and pour out what we buried. Until then, let the world think us paupers. Ever yours, Gideon. Asterisk. Noah's eyes went round as wagon wheels. Buried treasure? Old letters, Clara said, but her voice shook. She tucked the stack inside her coat. They found 3 more hiding places before dusk. One beneath a warped floorboard in the loft bedroom, the walnut box holding nothing but a single iron key shaped like a wheat stalk. Another inside the pantry flue, a ledger so fragile the spine powdered when she breathed on it. The last was in the root cellar. Noah's flashlight caught a brick that jutted a finger's width proud of its neighbors. Clara pressed. The whole wall pivoted on a hidden axle and rolled aside like a barn door. The room beyond was colder, the air tasting of iron and distance. Crates stamped Shanghai, Marseilles, New Orleans, Liverpool lined the walls. Most yawned empty, but 3 still held oilskin bundles. Clara peeled one back and the breath left her lungs. A small canvas no bigger than a breadboard, water lilies under fractured light, the paint still luminous after a century. The signature curled in the corner, Seed Monet. Noah stared. Is it real? I hope not, Clara lied, rewrapping it with fingers gone numb. On the far wall hung another tintype, same woman, older now, hair gone white but eyes unchanged. Beneath it, gouged deep into the mortar. Asterisk for the seed that returns unknowing, the grain remembers what the hand has forgotten. Asterisk. That night, after Noah slept curled like a comma in the loft, Clara read by the blue glow of a headlamp. The letters wove a ragged tapestry, Gideon and Beatrice Caldwell, 1890s wheat barons who lost everything in the panic except what they smuggled home in grain sacks and false bottoms. A betrayal by a partner, a child sent east to break the trail, a promise that the mill itself would recognize its own. The final letter, in Beatrice's spidery hand, was addressed to a son named Elias. Asterisk, I sent you away to keep you from the wolves at our door. One day your blood will ride the wind back here. The blades will know you before you know yourself. Asterisk. Clara's own grandfather had been Elias, a sharecropper's boy from Kansas she'd never met. Her mother died when she was 3, foster homes erased the rest. Coincidence, she told herself. Just a common name. Still, the days blurred into motion. She ferried Noah to the county school, 43 miles of gravel, slung hash till midnight, then raced home to patch leaks and coax the home comfort range into reluctant life. Electricity came on, another bill she couldn't pay, and the cottage revealed both bones and rot. The stonework was true, the beams hand-hewn, the roof needed 1,000 shingles and a miracle. Noah claimed the cap loft for his bedroom, reachable only by the iron spiral that sang when the wind rose. Clara took the room below so she could count his footsteps overhead like a heartbeat. They cooked on a camp stove until she sweet-talked a neighbor into lending propane, and every night the tower creaked like an old ship finding its sea legs. They carried water in 5-gallon buckets up the narrow back stairs until Clara could pay a plumber with the last of her tips. The windmill kept breathing around them, exhaling dust and questions. More cubbies opened like shy mouths, behind the warped mirror in the loft, inside the window seat that stuck until Noah pried it with a butter knife, under a loose hearthstone that rang hollow. Most held nothing but cobwebs and silence. A few gave up ghosts, a sepia photograph of stern folk in front of the mill, arms stiff at their sides, a hand-drawn map with 3 red X's circling the tower like planets, a crayon sketch on butcher paper, windmill with a serpent of smoke coiled around its bricks, signed in a child's shaky block letters, Elias 1912. 2 weeks in, Noah's voice ricocheted up the spiral. "Mom, down here, hurry." Clara clattered into the root cellar expecting blood or broken bones. Instead, Noah stood before the false wall, flashlight beam trembling over letters so faint they looked scratched by a ghost. Asterisk Caldwell seed unlocks every gate. Asterisk. "That's us," Noah said. "Our name's Caldwell." Clara's tongue stuck to the roof of her mouth. "Common enough name," she started, but the words tasted like dust. She thought of her grandfather Elias, who never spoke of Kansas, who kept one photograph of a woman in black lace and nothing else. Who, on his last night in the county hospital, had whispered to the nurse, "Tell the mill I'm coming home." She phoned the Care 1-800 number taped inside the old folks' home file. After 4 holds and a supervisor, a tired voice said, "Oh, Mr. Caldwell." "Sweet man." Kept asking for the windmill, said the blades were waiting. "We figured dementia." Clara hung up and stared at the tower rising through the cottage roof like a question mark. Morning brought a low black sedan nosing down the rutted track, chrome glinting like a warning. Clara stepped onto the porch in Noah's oversized flannel, arms crossed. The man who climbed out wore city shoes already ruined by prairie dust. 30, maybe, hair combed back with water, carrying a leather satchel. Mrs. Caldwell. He knew her name. Daniel Pierce. I research agrarian Gilded Age sites. Word is Stone Ridge finally sold. How do you hear that? He smiled without warmth. County clerk talks. Mind if I take a look? Been trying to get inside this mill for a decade. We're not open for tours. I'll pay. $2,000. 1 hour. $2,000 would buy propane, shingles, and a month of groceries. It would also buy trouble. No. His smile thinned. You don't know what you're sitting on. I'm sitting on my house. You're sitting on a vault. He flicked a business card onto the step. When you're ready to open it, call. Others are coming. Some won't ask nicely. The sedan reversed in a cloud of chalk and was gone. That afternoon, with Noah at school, Clara climbed the iron stairs to the cap loft. The hatch at the top was padlocked with rust older than she was. The wheat stalk key from the walnut box slid home like it had been waiting a century. The lock side open. Inside, the lantern room was a cage of sky. Broken gears lay where the light once spun. But the walls, every brick painted in careful copperplate, held the real mechanism. Names. Dates. A family tree inked across stone. And there, facing due west where the sun bled out over the plains. Asterisk Beatrice Elias Caldwell, B. 1875, D. 1944. Keeper of the harvest, guardian of the vein. May her seed ride the wind home. Asterisk. Below it, in a shakier hand, asterisk Elias Beatrice Caldwell, born 1924, sent away for safety. Forgive me. Asterisk. Clara's knees gave out. She sat hard on the grit, the wheat stalk key still warm in her fist. If Elias was Beatrice's son, that made Beatrice her great-grandmother. This windmill wasn't a last-ditch roof, it was the house her blood had been mailed away from. The seed, she whispered. A soft asterisk thunk asterisk answered from the cap wall. A brick slid inward on silent hinges, revealing a tin box no bigger than a lunch pail. Inside lay a single sheet folded twice, the paper heavy and modern, 1940s stock, maybe. Asterisk to the Caldwell who returns trembling asterisk. Asterisk you are heir to more than stone and rust. The harvest was never lost, only sown where thieves fear to tread. Others hunt the legend. Trust only the mill. It was built to speak to its own. Seek what stands tallest in plain sight. Caldwell seed unlocks every gate, but some gates bite. Asterisk. Asterisk your foremother, Beatrice asterisk. Clara read until the words blurred. Asterisk tallest in plain sight. Asterisk she scanned the lantern room, broken lens, rusted gears, the iron stanchion where the light once spun. The stanchion's base was newer iron, poured concrete around it like a collar. A hair-fine seam circled the plate. In its center, a keyhole shaped exactly like a wheat stalk. She hesitated, then pressed the key home. Nothing. Caldwell seed, she muttered, and laid her bleeding thumb, nicked earlier on a nail, against the hole. A needle-thin spike pricked her skin. The plate hissed, rotated a quarter turn, and the entire stanchion began to descend on hidden threads, spiraling into the brick like a corkscrew. A staircase yawned beneath, cut straight into the limestone bedrock. Clara's pulse hammered in her ears. She should wait, rope, lights, Noah home from school. She thought of Daniel Pierce's cold smile, of Noah eating half a sandwich so she could have the rest. She started down. The stairs dropped farther than the tower was tall, the air turning cool and mineral. At the bottom they opened into a vaulted chamber, walls planed smooth by long-ago hands. Shelves ringed the space, stacked with crates stenciled in languages she couldn't read. In the middle sat an iron-bound trunk, lid thrown back, gold coins heaped like grain. Canvases leaned in rows, oils thick with pigment, signatures she recognized from museum posters. Deeds, bearer bonds, land grants thick as phone books. Footsteps clanged overhead. The cottage door slammed. Mrs. Caldwell. Pierce's voice, closer now, boots on the spiral. I know you found the key. Clara snatched a fistful of documents, ranch deeds, mostly, and jammed them inside her coat. The only way out was the stair he was already descending. She pressed flat against the wall, breath shallow, and began to climb on silent, bleeding feet. Clara burst into the cap loft as the iron stairs sang under Pierce's boots. She spun the wheat-stalk key, felt the stanchion grind upward, and the floor sealed with a hiss of stone on stone. By the time his head cleared the hatch, she was leaning against the broken lens, arms loose at her sides. Trespassing's still a felony out here, she said. Pierce wiped dust from his palms. Door was unlatched. I was worried. His gaze crawled over the painted names, snagged on asterisk Elias Beatrice Caldwell star. Quite the family tree. Get out of my windmill. Your windmill. He stepped closer. For now. Ever check the tax rolls on a historic grain elevator? County'll reassess the minute they know someone's living in it. You'll owe 6 figures you don't have. Clara's stomach dropped, but she kept her voice flat. Leave. I can fix that. Sell today, 75 grand, cash. Enough to buy a real house. His thumb hovered over his phone. Or I call the AG Commission, the Historical Board, CPS. Windmills no place for a kid. Lead dust, asbestos, 40-foot drops. Clara tightened her grip on the key in her pocket. Call whoever you want. I'll be on the porch with the sheriff and the deed. He studied her. You opened the vault. When she said nothing, his smile thinned. 10 years I've chased this harvest. I'm not walking away because some hash slinger stumbled into it. Caldwell, she corrected. My name is Caldwell. Beatrice was my great-grandmother. Elias was my grandfather. Touch this place again and the prairie learns how loud a Caldwell can scream. The color drained from his face. You're bluffing. 30 seconds. Then the dogs get loose. He backed down the stairs, boots clanging. The sedan fishtailed gravel all the way to the horizon. That evening Clara laid it all out for Noah over Cancillian saltines, the vault, the gold, the paintings, the deeds that could buy back half the county. Noah's eyes reflected the lantern like twin moons. So we're millionaires. It's old money, bud. Needs lawyers, locks, and a plan. And some folks will try to steal it. Noah chewed thoughtfully. The mill picked us. That's why the key fit. Clara ruffled his hair. Out of the mouths of babes. She spent the night barricading doors, cataloguing the vault with her phone, drafting emails to attorneys who advertised in the farm journal. Sleep came in snatches, the tower creaking like it was dreaming. At 4:17 a.m. the back door handle rattled. Clara was already up, shotgun from the pickup across her knees. The knob turned slow, testing. A soft scrape of metal on metal, picks. The deadbolt side open. She stood at the top of the kitchen stairs, barrel steady. Come on up, Daniel, she called into the dark. Let's talk taxes. A shadow slid across the kitchen floorboards. Then another. Old Bat swore the place was empty, a low voice muttered. Cars out front. Keep looking, Pierce hissed. Proof's here somewhere. Clara's boot scraped the top step. Both figures snapped upward. Moonlight carved them into silhouettes, two men, young, thick-necked, hoodies and work gloves. Out of my house, Clara said, voice flat as the plains. They traded glances. We're just retrieving property, the taller one started. Nothing here's yours. I'm dialing 911. No, you're not. He took the stairs two at a time. Clara swung the bat. Would met collarbone with a wet crack, the man pinwheeled backward, crashing into his partner. They tumbled in a heap of curses and boots. Mom! Noah's sleepy shout from the loft. Lock your door, baby! The pair scrambled up, eyes wild. Clara snatched the heavy stoneware crock from the hall table and hurled it. It exploded at their feet in a storm of shards and dust. Nutcase! Sirens split the night, real ones, swelling closer. Red-blue strobes painted the walls. The intruders bolted, boots hammering the back porch, swallowed by the dark. Clara's arms shook around the bat as county cruisers skidded to a halt. Deputy Alvarez, barely old enough to shave, took her statement while his partner swept the cottage. Know them? She weighed the truth, saw Pierce's smug face, and shrugged. Burglars. Alvarez didn't buy it, but let it ride. Upgrade your locks. Old mills draw scavengers. After they left, Clara found Noah in the loft clutching his stuffed badger. Bad guys? Yeah, bud. Gone now. Because of the gold? Because some folks think stealing's easier than earning. Morning brought no school. Clara kept Noah home, made 2 calls, a locksmith in the county seat and an estate attorney in Wichita, Greta Schmidt, 0 local ties, 5-star reviews for complicated inheritances. While they waited, mother and son hunted daylight secrets. They started in the master bedroom Clara had avoided, clothes still on hangers, a man's pocket watch on the dresser, a woman's comb with a single silver hair. Noah traced the monogram on a linen nightgown, BC. Clara lifted the journal from the nightstand. Embossed on the flyleaf, * Beatrice Caldwell. Private. 1942. *. Our great-great-grandma's room, she whispered. She opened at random. * War makes everything uglier. Gideon would rise from the grave if I sold one canvas, but Elias needs distance I can't buy here. The Hargrove circled closer. Young Evelyn was on the road again today asking about the Mills Foundation, questions no child should know to ask. * Who are the Hargroves? Noah asked. Clara's mind flashed to the mink-stole woman who'd sold her the mill for pennies. Evelyn Hargrove. Another old family, she said. And they've been watching this place a long time. Clara read on, voice barely above the wind humming through the cap. Asterisk young Evelyn Hargrove came again today, claiming it's for a school project on pioneer architecture. Her questions cut too close, asks about the double foundation, the extra weight the mill was built to carry. I burned the blueprints years ago, but she knows something. Asterisk. A month later? Asterisk I've decided. Elias boards the train for Nebraska tomorrow. He calls me cruel. Better a live stranger than a dead heir. The Hargroves have made their intentions plain. If they cannot marry into the grain, they will dig it out. Let them chase ghosts across the ocean. Asterisk. December 1942. Asterisk he is gone. My heart with him. He will grow up Elias Miller, ordinary boy, ordinary life. The Hargroves believe I shipped him to Scotland. I have sealed the last vault. Gideon's mechanisms still answer only to Caldwell blood. Greed turns the key, innocence turns the mill. Asterisk. Clara closed the journal with shaking fingers. Her grandfather had died Elias Miller in a veterans' hospital, never knowing his real name. The locksmith's truck rattled up while they were still in the master bedroom. Greta Schmidt arrived an hour later, sharp-eyed, boots dusted from 3 counties away. While the deadbolts were swapped for steel, Clara and Noah climbed to the little office Beatrice had used in the cap loft. Filing cabinets lined one wall, metal, military surplus, padlocks long since rusted open. Inside, patents, blueprints, ledgers in Gideon Caldwell's spidery copperplate. Mom, look! Noah held up a rolled sheet. Unfurled, it showed the windmill in cross-section, every void and gear rendered in obsessive detail. Hidden rooms spiderwebbed through the brick. At the bottom, a note in red ink. Asterisk capable of biometric recognition via capillary pattern and pulse rhythm. 1891, let no man claim what the blood refuses. Asterisk. Grandpa Gideon invented fingerprint locks before fingerprints were a thing, Noah whispered. Another folder, legal, held yellowed court transcripts. 1925 to 1943. Hargrove et al. V. Caldwell. The Hargroves had sued for half the mill, alleging a forgotten partnership. They lost, but the legal fees bled the Caldwells dry. That was why Beatrice buried the rest. Noah had wandered to the small oil portrait above the desk, young Beatrice in a wheat-colored dress, standing beside a tall man with gentle eyes, Gideon, holding a brass device the size of a pocket watch. Noah's gasp echoed. That's the thing in the vault. They thundered down the spiral, past the new deadbolts, into the hidden chamber. There, on a dust-filmed shelf, sat the exact brass instrument, larger than a compass, gears visible through crystal. Clara lifted it. The needle didn't point north, it spun lazily, searching. When she walked, it snapped hard toward the north wall of the vault. They followed. Solid limestone, no seam, no handle. Caldwell seed unlocks every gate, Noah said. Clara pressed her palm to the stone. Nothing. Noah laid his smaller hand over hers. Both of us. The rock warmed beneath their stacked hands. A low grinding growl rolled through the chamber, and a 2-foot section of wall swung inward on counterweights, exhaling cold, clean air that smelled of deep earth and distant wheat. The hidden chamber beyond the false wall stole Clara's breath. It was Beatrice's private study, untouched since the 1940s, walnut paneling, a roll-top desk under a green banker's lamp, shelves groaning with leather-bound journals numbered like artillery shells. Clara opened number 17, dated 1894. Gideon's handwriting, precise as a machinist's. Asterisk Hargrove Sr. insists our partnership entitles him to half the harvest. He contributed only a knife in the dark. 3 derailments in 6 months, no court will call them coincidence. Adelaide carries our child. I will not bury them both. Asterisk. 1896. Asterisk it is finished. The vault is sealed where only Caldwell blood can reach. Let Hargrove dig until the prairie swallows him. Asterisk. Clara's pulse hammered. The windmill wasn't a mill, it was a vault with sails. A small floor safe crouched in the corner, stainless steel, digital keypad glowing faintly. Beside it, a glass port no bigger than a dime. Clara pricked her finger on the needle hidden in the lid. The lock chirped, the door swung open. Inside, numbered account statements from Zurich, deeds to ranches in 3 states, stock certificates for railroads that became conglomerates, and a single sheet on heavy cream stock. Asterisk to the Caldwell who finds this, asterisk. Asterisk you are the last of us. The harvest is yours, but so is the hunt. The Hargroves have bred their hunger into their children as surely as we bred our blood. Trust few. Spend wisely. The greatest yield is not grain or gold, it is the knowledge that we outlasted them. The mill brought you home. Asterisk. Asterisk Beatrice Caldwell, last until you. Asterisk. Clara's eyes stung. Noah wrapped his arms around her waist. We're rich again? Richer than rich, bud. Greta Schmidt arrived at 2, boots crunching gravel. She spread the documents across the kitchen table like a poker hand. Conservative estimate, 40 million liquid, another 60 in land and equities. The art, if the provenance holds, could triple that. She tapped the Swiss statements. We need a team. First, chain of title. Birth certificates? Clara's stomach dropped. Foster system. I've got mine, mother listed, father blank. Grandma died 5 years back. Death certificate only. Greta nodded. Nursing home may have intake DNA. We'll sequence you against anything Beatrice left, hair in that comb, maybe. Meanwhile, silence. No one hears about this until the courts do. Clara told her about Pierce and the midnight visitors. Greta's jaw set. We file restraining orders today. And we move the art tonight, museum-grade storage, armed transport. Tomorrow we petition for emergency guardianship of the site. She looked up at the tower creaking overhead. This place just became the most valuable grain elevator in North America. Lock it down. Greta's voice cut out mid-sentence. Through the loft window Clara watched 3 black SUVs nose onto the gravel like crows settling on a fence. Doors opened. An old woman stepped out first, tall, ramrod spine, camel hair coat worth more than Clara's pickup. Even at a distance the set of her jaw echoed Evelyn Hargrove's. 4 men in charcoal suits fanned out behind her. A younger woman, 30s, sharp cheekbones, carried a tablet like a weapon. They didn't advance. Just stood in formation, waiting. Clara's phone buzzed again, Greta texting, asterisk do not open door. En route with sheriff. Asterisk. Noah tugged her sleeve. Mom, the compass. The brass device lay on the desk where they'd left it. Its needle jittered, then locked dead center on the floorboards beneath the cap loft. Clara knelt. A hairline seam circled a single plank. She pressed her thumb to a knot that looked like every other knot, until it warmed and a panel the size of a manhole cover irised open with a sigh of oiled gears. A ladder dropped into darkness. They descended into a drum-shaped chamber no bigger than a grain silo, walls slick with condensation. Shelves spiraled upward, packed with oilskin-wrapped volumes. Clara lifted one at random, 1719, ink faded to rust. Asterisk the Caldwell line carries the grain site. We ken what is buried, what is lost, what hungers to be found. The Hargroves covet the site more than the gold it unearths. They will breed for it, bleed for it, burn for it. Asterisk. Another, 1823. Asterisk Gideon's locks answer pulse and capillary, not steel. Innocence turns the mill, greed grinds its teeth on stone. Asterisk. Clara's hand shook. The windmill wasn't a vault, it was a blood-locked library older than the Republic. A car door slammed above. Boots on the porch. Noah whispered, "They're here." Clara closed the trap door. The ladder retracted with a soft click, sealing them in velvet dark. She flicked on her phone's flashlight. The beam caught a final journal on a pedestal, open to a fresh page, Beatrice's handwriting, 1944. Asterisk: if you read this, the site has woken. Use it. The Hargroves will come with papers, then with guns. The mill will show you the way out. Trust the grain. Asterisk. The floor beneath them rumbled. A section of wall rotated, revealing a narrow passage smelling of earth and distant rain. At its end, faint daylight glimmered. Clara took Noah's hand. Caldwells don't run. We just take the back door. They stepped into the tunnel as the first fist pounded on the cottage door above. If this story's got your pulse racing, smash that like, share it wide, and subscribe. Tomorrow we learn what the site really costs, and why some inheritances come with teeth. Clara opened the door just wide enough to see the old woman's eyes. Noah hovered at her knee. Evelyn Hargrove, the woman announced, as if the name should drop Clara to her knees. We have old accounts to settle. I don't know you, Clara said. You know my money. Clara Caldwell, daughter of Ruth, granddaughter of Elias Miller, who was born Caldwell. You found the harvest. Clara's grip tightened on the door. You're trespassing. Evelyn's smile was thin as winter ice. 50 million. Cash. Sign the mill and everything under it over to me. Today. Pass. You haven't heard the terms. I heard enough. Clara started to shut the door. Evelyn's gloved hand stopped it. The site. Both of you carry it. Her gaze flicked to Noah. Governments would pay billions. Corporations would cage you. You think a waitress and a child can hide what the prairie itself whispers? Clara leaned in until their noses almost touched. How many Hargroves died chasing shadows? You have lawyers, bank accounts, and a century of sour grapes. We have the mill. And it answers to us. Evelyn's face blotched red. We'll bury you in court. You'll bury yourselves in dirt. Clara slammed the door. The deadbolt thunked home. Through the sidelight she watched Evelyn argue with her entourage, 2 suits, 1 younger woman with a tablet, before they retreated to their SUVs and roared away. Noah whispered, "Are we in trouble?" "We're Caldwells," Clara said. "Trouble's been trying to outrun us since 1755. Her phone lit up. Greta, * lost signal. Do not engage Evelyn Hargrove. En route W deputies. **. Too late. That evening Greta arrived with 2 attorneys and a security expert who looked like he ate barbed wire for breakfast. They spread files across the kitchen table while Noah worked fractions upstairs. DNA confirms direct descent, Greta said. Hargrove versus Caldwell, 1891, 1 failed wheat shipment. Every court since has laughed them out. Legally, you're untouchable. David, the older lawyer, tapped a ledger. Evelyn's liquid but not infinite. She'll sue, stall, harass. We countersue for harassment, trespass, attempted theft. Tie her up until she's 90. The security man slid a tablet across. Motion sensors, cameras, panic room in the root cellar. Install tomorrow. Tonight, I stay. Clara nodded. Do it. Greta looked up at the tower creaking overhead. One more thing. The site, whatever it is, keep it off the record. Courts don't need to know why the lock's open. They just need to know they do. Clara exhaled. Then we finish what Gideon started. We protect the grain. Marcus, the ex-cop turned security consultant, rubbed the back of his neck. Once the wire services catch wind of $100 million windfall in a Kansas grain elevator, you'll have TikTokers, podcasters, and every grifter west of the Mississippi camped on your doorstep. Greta cut in. We front-run it. Tomorrow we file probate, restraining orders against Pierce and the Hargroves, and a temporary security detail. Cost? She slid a bank printout across the table. Swiss accounts have compounded since Eisenhower. You're not rich, Clara. Your dynasty money. Clara stared at the numbers until they blurred. She still thought in shift tips and propane bills. After the team left, she found Noah in the cap loft, flashlight under his chin, reading Beatrice's 1944 journal. She never gave up, he said. Even when the whole county turned on her. Clara sat beside him. We won't either. Noah leaned into her. The mill's glad we're here. It stopped creaking like it was mad. Clara almost laughed, then remembered the compass spinning, the walls warming under their palms, the way the tower had sighed when the vault opened. Maybe the kid was right. She couldn't sleep. She wandered the cottage, trailing fingers over Gideon's blueprints, the brass gears he'd machined by lamplight. One notebook lay open. Asterisk, the sight burns bright in Beatrice. She felt the twister 2 days out, smelled the arsonist's kerosene before the match struck. Our children will carry it. Pray they wield it kinder than we have. Asterisk. Clara's own life flashed, knowing which trucker would leave a 20, sensing Noah's fever before the thermometer rose, the Craigslist ad glowing on the screen like a beacon. The sight. She had it. Noah had it. And now they had the weight of it. A soft knock at 2:03 a.m. She snatched the shotgun and crept to the door. Through the peephole, a kid, 20 maybe, shivering in a thin hoodie, eyes wide and familiar, Evelyn Hargrove's cheekbones, but none of her steel. Please, he called, voice cracking. I know it's insane. My name's Levi Hargrove. My family's planning something bad. Gas line rupture. Make it look like a leak. They're coming tonight. Clara's finger tightened on the trigger. Why tell me? Because there's a kid in there. He glanced toward the loft. And I'm done letting them hurt people for money. The sight hummed under her skin, truth raw and scared. She cracked the door. Inside. Fast. Levi stumbled in, frost on his lashes. They know I bolted. They'll be here any minute. Clara killed the headlights a mile from the county line and let the pickup roll to a stop on the shoulder. Rain hissed across the windshield. Noah was curled under a blanket in the back seat. Levi Hargrove sat rigid beside her, knuckles white on the dash. You sure about this place? She asked. Mom's cousin runs it. Cash only, no questions. Hargroves don't look this far west. His voice cracked on the family name. Clara studied him in the dashboard glow. Same hawk nose as Evelyn, but the eyes were different, scared, not hungry. The sight hummed low in her chest, truth, brittle but real. She eased back onto the road. The motel sign flickered vacancy in pink neon. Inside, the room smelled of mildew and burnt coffee, but the deadbolt worked and the windows faced the alley. Clara spread Gideon's journals across the formica table while Noah claimed the far bed. Levi slumped in the vinyl chair, boots still on. Show me, she said. He woke his phone. Screenshot scrolled, Evelyn wiring 20 grand to a utility foreman, timestamps, voice memos, asterisk storm covers the blast, old propane lines, no questions. Asterisk. Clara's stomach turned. Sheriffs in their pocket? Since 1962. Fire chief, too. She opened the oldest journal, 1759, ink brown as dried blood. Asterisk, the site is not fortune-finding. It is burden-knowing. We see what is hidden because the hidden begs to be seen. The Hargroves hunt the gift, the way wolves hunt the heart. They will never understand it is not theirs to take. Asterisk. Another page, Gideon's hand, 1893. Asterisk. Beatrice felt the derailment 3 nights early. I built the mill to answer pulse and vein, not key and tumbler. Let the innocent turn the blades, let greed break its teeth on stone. Asterisk. Clara closed the book. You feel it too? Levi nodded. Grandma called it the devil's itch. Beat it out of me with a switch. Said only Caldwells were allowed. He laughed, a broken sound. Turns out the devil just wanted me to see my family for what they are. Noah stirred. Mom, the compass. It lay on the nightstand, needle spinning slow circles, then locking north, toward the mill, 40 miles back. Clara's phone buzzed. Greta, asterisk deputies en route to mill. Found cut propane line. You were right to run. Stay dark. Asterisk. Clara looked at the sleeping boy, the terrified man, the journals older than the state itself. The sight wasn't treasure. It was reckoning. She opened a fresh page in the newest journal and wrote by the dim lamp. Asterisk Day 3. The mill let us go so we could come back stronger. Tomorrow we finish what Gideon started. The grain will speak, and the wolves will listen. Asterisk. Clara read until the lamp flickered low, the journal trembling in her hands. Beatrice's entry, October 31st, 1942. Asterisk tonight I confess what I have never spoken. The sight is no parlor trick. Gideon learned it from his father, who learned it from the old country. We are not wholly of this earth. Our blood carries the echo of those who walked the borderlands, who saw through veils because they stood in both worlds. The Hargroves do not crave our gold, they crave the vein itself. They think it can be bled out, bottled, owned. They are wrong. The sight chooses its keepers. It withers in hands that clutch. Asterisk. Asterisk Elias must never know. Let him live ordinary, die ordinary. Perhaps in forgetting we find mercy. Asterisk. Clara's pulse thudded in her ears. She thought of the compass that ignored north, the walls that warmed like living things, the way she'd known the exact second to pull Noah from the farmhouse before the mold took his lungs. Her phone buzzed. Greta, asterisk Mills gone. Propane blast 2:47 a.m. cottages ash. Tower cracked but standing. Cops calling it accident. Hargroves pushing condemnation. Asterisk. Clara dialed. We're safe. Left hours ago. Thank God. Greta's exhale crackled. Fire inspector, clean, noticed something. Blast centered in cottage, but tower footings poured fresh concrete last week. Like someone sealed a vault before the boom. Clara's mind raced. Beatrice had planned for arsonists. File injunction, she said. No one touches the site till our engineers look. Done. One more thing, lab reran your DNA. Anomalous sequences. Not mutation. They want a third lab, out of state. Clara looked at Noah's sleeping face, at Levi curled in the chair like a stray dog. 3 carriers of blood science couldn't name. She opened Gideon's notebook, 1895. Asterisk the thinning comes. Every 3 centuries the curtain frays. We must choose, step into the light and be hunted, or hide and fade. I built the mill as anchor and beacon. When the hour strikes, our blood will know the path. Asterisk. Another page, Beatrice's hand. Asterisk the gift strengthens. Yesterday I spoke with grandmother, dead 50 years. The dead advise the living when the sight burns true. Pray our children are spared. Prayer is for fools. Asterisk. Clara closed the book. She felt Beatrice in the room, a pressure behind her eyes, the scent of wheat dust and candle smoke. The storm outside thickened, rain lashing the window like thrown gravel. Somewhere 40 miles east, the mill stood cracked but unbowed, waiting. Clara took the compass from her pocket. The needle no longer spun, it pointed steady, unerring, toward the ruined tower. Home. Clara had been reading for 3 hours, the journal's pages turning like whispers in the dim motel lamp. Beatrice's entry, October 31st, 1942. Asterisk tonight I must confess what has no words. The site is no mere knack. Gideon knew, from his father, from the old sod. We are not fully of this soil. Our veins hold the memory of the threshold walkers, those who glimpsed the unseen because they straddled both shores. The Hargroves do not hunt our yield, they hunt the root. They believe it can be tapped, transfused, claimed. Fools. The site selects its bearers. It starves in fists that seize. Elias must never carry this weight. Let him live plain, die plain. In oblivion, perhaps mercy. Asterisk. Clara read it thrice before the words rooted. She thought of the brass device that sought without compass, the stone that yielded to her vein, the certainty that pulled her thumb to the mill's hidden seam. Levi stirred in the chair, eyes cracking open. Can't sleep. Too much spinning. She slid the journal across. He read slow, color draining like dust from wheat. This is why Grandma was rabid. Not the gold. The spark. She wanted to be picked. But it can't be picked clean. Clara's voice was gravel. Levi pulled his phone, thumbing to grainy scans. Didn't stop Lem from carving. A 1952 clinic file, Evelyn's father, experimental infusions from an unidentified donor. The treatments crumbled him, twitches, shadows in his eyes, a padded room by 55. They tapped Beatrice's line. Grave dust and whispers. Clara's gut twisted. He scrolled, 1920s ledgers, kidnaps foiled before Elias shipped west. A yellowed contract, Marcus Hargrove Sr. and one Dr. Elias Kettering, for isolation and propagation of aberrant sanguine traits. They made us lab rats, Levi said. Rats that bit back. Every graft withered. But they kept at it, gen after gen, sure the next syringed stick. Noah sat up, hair a thundercloud, rubbing his eyes. Mom? Where's the badger? Safe spot, bud. Clara crossed to the bed, pulling him close. Gotta tell you about our folks. Why we're different. She kept it simple, the old blood, the knowing that hummed like summer heat. Noah's eyes saucered. So we're like prairie ghosts. More like folks with deep roots. The mill knew us cause of what runs in our veins. Noah chewed his lip. Is that why I dream the lady? The one in the tintype. Clara's breath hitched. Beatrice? Yeah. She tells tales. Says I'm gonna mend big breaks. The sight stirring caused the lands calling it. Levi leaned in, voice low. I see her too. But she's hollering warnings. Shows me the Hargrove branch, like blight crawling a stalk. Says I'm the pruner. They locked eyes, 3 souls lashed by vein and vision, impossible kin. The storm outside thickened, wind clawing the eaves like impatient fingers. Greta called at first light, voice tight. Flip on the tube. Mills all over it. Clara thumbed the ancient set to life, static spitting until a grainy feed locked in. Asterisk mysterious blaze gutstone ridge windmill, unearths harvest of the ages. Vaults hold canvases, ledgers, relics pegged at $180 million. Owner Clara Caldwell vanished pre-boom, insiders whisper flight from the flames. Asterisk. They're painting me arson, Clara growled. Worse incoming. The screen cut to Evelyn Hargrove at a podium, pearls like nooses. Asterisk our lines claim traces to 1890. We seek immediate seizure of the relics and probe into how Mrs. Caldwell acquired them. Evidence points to deception, perhaps pilferage. Asterisk. Eleanor brandished a sheaf. Asterisk this conveyance, inked by my niece, cedes the mill but reserves all subsurface yields for Hargrove stewardship. Asterisk. Levi went ashen. Lies. Aunt Evelyn signed squat like that. Forgery, Greta crackled through the speaker. But courts'll chew months to spit it out. Meantime, they'll flog it in the feeds, sway the herd. Clara killed the sound, mind churning like a thresher. The Hargroves torched the cottage to smoke them out, then spun the pyre to snatch the silo. We need those vaults, she said. The real proofs, the bloodline binds. Basement's intact, Greta said. Investigator swears fresh paws shielded it, like Beatrice booby-trapped for bushwhackers. We slip back tonight, before they salt more lies. Clara glanced at the sleeping boy, the haunted man, the compass on the table, its needle fixed east, toward the scarred tower. The grain called. And Caldwell's answered. Clara's boots crunched on frost-rimed grass as they parked a mile out, the mill silhouette a broken finger against the stars. The sight thrummed in her blood, sketching routes through the dark, a deer trail here, a dry creek bed there, the exact minute the deputy would step inside his cruiser for coffee. They moved single file, Noah's small hand in hers, Levi ghost quiet behind. The cottage was a black scar, but the tower stood, cracked yet upright, a stubborn spine. Police tape flapped in the wind, the lone cruiser idled 50 yards off, dome light glowing while the deputy scrolled his phone. Clara led them to the north foundation, servants' hatch half buried under charred beams. They levered timbers aside with a pry bar from the truck, slipped through one by one. Inside, the basement smelled of wet ash and old grain. Water dripped. A section of ceiling sagged, but the limestone held. Clara's flashlight swept the wall and the stone asterisk glowed asterisk, faint veins of gold pulsing like capillaries. She laid her palm to it. Words bloomed in firefly script. Asterisk asterisk home, seed of my seed. The root remembers dot asterisk asterisk. The wall shimmered, turned to mist, and revealed a round chamber no blueprint had ever shown. Symbols spiraled the dome, angles that bent the eye, geometries that whispered. At the center, a cedar chest, iron-bound, no lock. Clara lifted the lid. No gold. Just paper, thousands of sheets, edges soft with centuries. Top folder, asterisk asterisk Caldwell lineage, 1723, present dot asterisk asterisk. Each generation annotated in the same meticulous hand. Asterisk gift manifests age 6. True site. Married outsider. Diluted dot asterisk. Asterisk twins. Both strong. One sent west. Gift sleeps dot asterisk. Asterisk Elias Miller born in 1924. Gift suppressed. Daughter Ruth born in 1952. Dormant dot asterisk. Asterisk granddaughter Clara Ruth born in 1980. Gift active, convergence triggered dot asterisk. Asterisk great-grandson Noah James born in 2017. Gift exceptional. The hinge dot asterisk. Noah peered over her shoulder. Hinge? New words ignited across the dome, not English, older, yet Clara read them like breath. Asterisk asterisk when the veil frays and the world bleeds, the hinge child shall turn the lock between. Through him the sight walks daylight again dot asterisk asterisk. Noah's voice was small. That's me. Clara pulled him close. We'll turn it together. Levi's phone flashed, capturing every page. Lineage, ownership, blood proofs, Hargrove forgeries die tonight. Clara tucked the hinge prophecy into her coat. The wall behind them solidified with a sigh, sealing the chamber until the next Caldwell hand asked. They climbed out into the cold, the mill's cracked bricks glowing faintly, as if glad to be touched by its own again. Clara's hand settled on the empty pedestal. Noah's small palm slid over hers. Levi hesitated, then added his own. The chamber flared, light without source, images blooming like wheat in fast forward. Gideon shaping brick with glowing hands, weaving wards into mortar. Beatrice, belly swollen with Elias, tears cutting dust on her cheeks as she sang the gift to sleep in her unborn son's blood. Elias Miller in a Nebraska tractor dreams of wind he'd never seen brushing his sleep. Ruth dying in a hospital bed, whispering to 2-year-old Clara, * you're the root, baby. Don't let them pull you. *. Further back, a woman on a moonlit moor coupling with a figure of starlight and shadow, birthing twins who saw tomorrow in puddles. Generation after generation, the sight flaring, fading, hiding, waiting. The Hargroves, too, Marcus Sr. hunched over forbidden texts, eyes mad with want. Evelyn as a girl, pressing her face to the mill's bricks, begging the stone to speak to her the way it spoke to Beatrice. Then the future, the veil tearing like old cloth, the world hungry for what it had forgotten. Noah standing at the center, hands outstretched, light pouring through him like grain through a clean spout. The light dimmed. The chamber exhaled. Clara's voice was steady. We have what we need. They gathered the lineage scrolls, the true partnership deed, Marcus Hargrove's own hand admitting * no claim beyond one failed shipment *, and climbed out into the cold. Flashlights pinned them like moths. Evelyn Hargrove waited with a dozen men, badges glinting, rifles half raised. Trespassing on a crime scene, she sneered. Stealing relics. Clara lifted the deed. Relics you forged your way to. This says otherwise. Levi stepped forward, voice shaking but clear. I typed the fake bill of sale, Grandma. I'll swear to every keystroke. Evelyn's hand twitched, signal. Noah moved first. Light rolled from the boy, soft as dawn on stubble, warm as bread. Rifles drooped. Boots shuffled backward. In that glow the dead stood shoulder to shoulder, Gideon in rolled sleeves, Beatrice cradling unseen wheat, Elias Miller young again, Ruth smiling like she'd never left. 100 Caldwells, eyes bright with prairie sky. The deputies saw. The Hargrove men saw. Truth has weight, it bent their knees. Evelyn alone stayed upright, face twisted, but the light touched her too, showed the girl she'd been before envy calcified her heart. Noah's small voice carried over the wind. The grain remembers. And it's done hiding. Clara sat at the plaintiff's table, Noah beside her coloring a windmill with sails of gold. The courtroom smelled of lemon polish and old fear. Across the aisle, Evelyn Hargrove wore a navy suit like armor. Her eyes, once flint, now carried the weight of what the light had shown her. The judge, a woman with steel-gray hair and no patience for theatrics, rapped her gavel. We're here on the matter of * Caldwell v. Hargrove * emergency injunction, and criminal referral. Counsel. Greta rose, crisp as winter wheat. Your Honor, the defense's claim rests on a forged bill of sale. We have the original partnership agreement, witnessed 1891, stating Marcus Hargrove relinquished all future claims for one failed wheat shipment. She slid the yellow document across. Ink, paper, and handwriting authenticated by 3 independent labs. Evelyn's lawyer opened his mouth. Greta wasn't finished. We also have testimony from Levi Hargrove, who admits to drafting the forgery under duress. Levi stood, voice steady. I typed it. Grandma, Mrs. Hargrove, stood over me. I'll submit the original file metadata. The judge's eyebrow arched. Mrs. Hargrove. Evelyn rose slowly. I have no defense, Your Honor. Only regret. Her voice cracked like thin ice. I spent a lifetime chasing what was never mine. I nearly killed children for it. A murmur rippled through the gallery. Reporters scribbled. Greta continued, we further request the court recognize the Caldwell lineage as sole heirs and issue permanent restraining orders against all Hargrove parties. The judge nodded to the bailiff. Bring in the evidence crates. Sealed boxes from the mill's hidden chamber were wheeled in, birth records, gift annotations, the cedar chest itself. The clerk broke the seal, the scent of old paper and prairie dust filled the room. Noah tugged Clara's sleeve. "Mom, look!" On the top page, fresh ink had appeared overnight. ***, Convergence Child, Noah James Caldwell. The hinge swings both ways. ***. The judge lifted the page, frowning at the impossible handwriting. This wasn't in the inventory. Greta smiled. "The mill keeps its own records, Your Honor." Evelyn stepped forward, hands trembling. "I withdraw all claims. I'll pay restitution, whatever the court demands." She looked at Noah, then Clara. "I just want to stop the hurting." The gavel fell. Injunction granted. Criminal charges to proceed. Restitution hearing set for next month. Court adjourned. Outside, flashbulbs popped. Clara shielded Noah as reporters shouted questions about the miracle light. Levi fielded them with a calm he hadn't owned a week ago. Greta pulled Clara aside. "Feds want to talk." Quietly. About other families. Other gifts. Clara looked at the cracked tower in the distance, bricks glowing faintly in the noon sun. "Tell them we'll meet at the mill." Neutral ground. That night, they stood in the rebuilt foundation, new beams already rising where the cottage had burned. Noah placed his hand on a fresh-laid stone. Light pulsed outward, warm and golden. Across the prairie, other lights answered, faint at first, then steady. Beacons waking after centuries of sleep. Clara felt Beatrice beside her, Gideon's laugh in the wind. The grain had spoken. Now the world would listen. Clara felt the courtroom air shift when Dr. Marcus Reed rose from the gallery, cane tapping like a slow heartbeat. 6 months of hearings had sanded her nerves raw, but this felt like the mill itself had sent him. Greta stood first. "Your Honor, the defense rests on a forged conveyance. We've submitted the 1891 partnership dissolution, witnessed and notarized, relinquishing all Hargrove claims. DNA places Clara Caldwell as sole heir. Levi Hargrove has confessed to drafting the false bill under coercion." Levi met Clara's eyes from the witness bench, steady now, the boy who'd chosen truth over blood. Judge Langford flipped through the stack. "The supernatural claims complicate matters. Journals speaking of the site, locks that red blood. If I may, Your Honor." Dr. Reed's voice carried the weight of chalk dust and old libraries. Retired professor of anthropology, University of Kansas. 40 years studying kin-based perceptual anomalies. The judge lifted an eyebrow. "Approach." Sworn in, Reed opened a worn field journal. "The Caldwell gift is no sorcery. It's a documented neurogenetic cluster, hyperacute pattern recognition, proprioceptive foresight. Parallels exist, Navajo sand painters who see the water tables, Icelandic families with precognitive storm sense. I tested Elias Miller, Caldwell, in 1979. Dormant, yet his spatial reasoning clocked for standard deviations above baseline." Clara's throat tightened. "You knew my grandfather." Reed's eyes softened. "He asked me to watch for the next hinge child. Said the mill would know when." He glanced at Noah, who was coloring a perfect spiral without looking at the page. "Your son phoned my office last week. Said it was time." Noah didn't look up. 8.5, sir. The lady in the bricks told me where to find your number." The gallery stirred. Judge Langford silenced them with a look. Greta slid forward the cedar chest inventory. Engineering schematics confirm Gideon Caldwell built biometric tumblers in 1892, capillary readers, pulse gates. The mill is a historical artifact, not a fairy tale. Judge Langford recessed for 90 minutes. In the hallway, Clara caught Reed's sleeve. "How'd Noah even?" "Adelaide's journal," Noah piped up, swinging his legs from a bench. Page 217. "When the hinge turns, send for Marcus at the Sunflower House." I googled the sunflower house anthropology. Reed laughed, a sound like dry leaves. Kids got the site and a library card. Clara knelt, eye level. You okay with all this? Noah shrugged. The mill's happy. Says we're just getting started. 90 minutes later, the gavel fell. Claims dismissed. Caldwell line confirmed. Hargrove parties enjoined permanently. Artifacts to be catalogued under historic preservation. Court will appoint a trust for the Convergence child's education. Evelyn Hargrove stood, shoulders curved inward. I'll fund the trust, she said quietly. And the rebuild. Outside, wind whipped the courthouse flags. Clara looked east, the mill's cracked cap caught the sun like a promise. Noah slipped his hand in hers. Ready to go home, Mom. The tower waited, patient as stone, ready to teach the world how to listen again. Jim cleared his throat from above. Miss Ashford? You'll want to see the rest. Rachel climbed out, Emma and Michael behind her. The foreman pointed to a steel crate the size of a footlocker, pried open by the blast. Inside lay a single object wrapped in oilcloth, a brass and crystal sphere the size of a softball, gears visible beneath facete glass. Emma gasped. It's the heart. Rachel unwrapped it carefully. The sphere pulsed once, like a heartbeat, then projected light upward, holographic blueprints hovering in mid-air, rotating slowly. Ashore Convergence Protocol, Phase 2 ***. Lines of text scrolled in Nathaniel's copperplate. The anchor is set. When the hinge child places hand to heart, the web awakens. Beacons will answer. Gifts will remember. Below the text, a map unfurled, dozens of glowing dots across continents, each labeled with a family name. Moreau, Brittany ***. Singh, Punjab ***. Ndlovu, KwaZulu ***. O'Rourke, Connemara ***. Yazzie, Dainita ***. Emma reached out, the nearest dot brightened. A soft chime rang from the sphere. Michael exhaled. It's a directory. More than that, Rachel said. The gift had shown her, each beacon was a lighthouse, a windmill, a Torii gate, a dolmen, places where bloodlines had hidden, waiting. Jim scratched his head. Whatever it is, the feds'll want it catalogued. But it was addressed to you. Wrapped around the sphere was a strip of vellum in Adelaide's hand. For Emma rose, when the web is ready to sing. Tell them the storm is over. The light is for sharing. Rachel looked at her daughter. Ready to call the others home. Emma placed both hands on the sphere. Light flared, gentle as sunrise on water, and raced upward through the scaffolding, out the lantern room, across the sea. Somewhere in Brittany, a fisherman looked up as his nets glowed. In Punjab, a girl dreaming of rivers woke with salt on her lips. In KwaZulu, an elder smiled at a sudden breeze carrying the scent of distant waves. The lighthouse hummed, whole again in ways no scaffold could touch. Rachel took Emma's hand. Let's go plan a homecoming. Clara stood in the rebuilt cap loft, the new lead lantern sweeping clean white light across the dark prairie. The mill's sails, fiberglass replicas on the old iron frame, turned slow and steady, singing the same low note they'd sung for 130 years. You did it, Beatrice said, wheat dust and lamplight made visible. Clara didn't startle. She'd felt the presence gathering all evening, the way you feel thunder before the sky splits. Dr. Reed says you're just an echo in the grain, she answered. Reed needs equations for wind, Beatrice laughed, the sound like stalks brushing. Some things just are star. Clara leaned on the rail. Below, the new keeper's cottage glowed, solar panels on the roof, root cellar panic room beneath, perception rooms tuned to 432 Hz Noah's doing. Why now? Clara asked. Because the hinge is set. Noah's steady. The web is singing. Beatrice gestured. Across the plains, faint answering lights flickered, other mills, other anchors, other bloodlines waking. Clara's throat tightened. I just wanted to keep him breathing. You kept the world breathing. Beatrice's hand settled on Clara's shoulder, weightless but warm. You turned envy to restitution, fear to curiosity. You made the site a bridge, not a wall. Clara looked down at the courtyard. Noah and Levi were testing the new grain scale, laughing when it chimed perfect bushels. Evelyn Hargrove, ankle monitor glinting, watched from a lawn chair, eyes soft. I forgave her, Clara said. Didn't think I had it in me. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the strongest yield there is. The lantern swept again, catching the brass sphere on its pedestal, the heart of the mill, now linked to beacons worldwide. Beatrice began to fade, grain by grain. Wait, Clara reached. You don't need me anymore, seed. You are the harvest. The light passed. The air smelled of summer wheat and distant rain. Clara stayed until dawn, watching the sails turn, listening to the song older than nations. Below, Noah looked up and waved. The mill's shadow stretched long and golden across the fields, pointing every gifted child home. Clara stood in the rebuilt cap loft, the new lead lantern sweeping clean white light across the dark prairie. The mill's sails, fiberglass replicas on the old iron frame, turned slow and steady, singing the same low note they'd sung for 130 years. You did it, Beatrice said, wheat dust and lamplight made visible. Clara didn't startle. She'd felt the presence gathering all evening, the way you feel thunder before the sky splits. Dr. Reed says you're just an echo in the grain, she answered. Reed needs equations for wind, Beatrice laughed, the sound like stalks brushing. Some things just are star. Clara leaned on the rail. Below, the new keeper's cottage glowed, solar panels on the roof, root cellar panic room beneath, perception rooms tuned to 432 Hz Noah's doing. Why now? Clara asked. Because the hinge is set. Noah's steady. The web is singing. Beatrice gestured. Across the plains, faint answering lights flickered, other mills, other anchors, other bloodlines waking. Clara's throat tightened. I just wanted to keep him breathing. You kept the world breathing. Beatrice's hand settled on Clara's shoulder, weightless but warm. You turned envy to restitution, fear to curiosity. You made the site a bridge, not a wall. Clara looked down at the courtyard. Noah and Levi were testing the new grain scale, laughing when it chimed perfect bushels. Evelyn Hargrove, ankle monitor glinting, watched from a lawn chair, eyes soft. I forgave her, Clara said. Didn't think I had it in me. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the strongest yield there is. The lantern swept again, catching the brass sphere on its pedestal, the heart of the mill, now linked to beacons worldwide. Beatrice began to fade, grain by grain. Wait, Clara reached. You don't need me anymore, seed. You are the harvest. The light passed. The air smelled of summer wheat and distant rain. Clara stayed until dawn, watching the sails turn, listening to the song older than nations. Below, Noah looked up and waved. The mill's shadow stretched long and golden across the fields, pointing every gifted child home. 5 years after the $2,800 purchase, Clara stood in Beatrice's old office, now a sunlit command center of screens and satellite uplinks, video conferencing with institute hubs in Saskatchewan, the Scottish Highlands, the Mongolian steppe, and a wind-scoured outpost in Patagonia. On every screen, a child or elder placed a hand to a local beacon. Light answered, threading the globe in gold. Noah, 13 now, voice cracking between boy and man, leaned in from the doorway. Ready for the ribbon cutting, Mom. Outside, the governor, 2 senators, and half the county waited beside the restored mill. A bronze plaque gleamed. Asterisk asterisk Stone Ridge Convergence Institute asterisk asterisk. Asterisk where the grain remembers and the world learns to listen. Asterisk. Clara adjusted her headset. 1 minute. Let's open the web. She pressed a key. Every beacon flared at once. Children gasped on screens from 6 continents as their family gifts woke gentle and sure. Clara stepped onto the platform, Noah at her side. The crowd hushed. This mill stood a century guiding wagons, she said, voice carrying on the wind. Tonight it guides something bigger. We bought it with desperation and $2,000 we couldn't spare. We found more than fortune. We found family, past, present, and future. And now we share that light with every soul who ever felt too strange to belong. She cut the ribbon. The sails caught the breeze and spun, faster, brighter, until the entire prairie glowed. Later, under star-drunk sky, Noah asked, "Think Grandma's watching?" Clara felt the answer in the hum beneath her boots. Every turn of the blade. Levi joined them, carrying 3 jars of sun tea. To harvests that never end. They clinked glass. Somewhere, a new beacon answered, then another, and another, until the night itself seemed to breathe. The windmill kept singing. And the world, at last, sang back. Clara felt the tremor in the grain before the screens lit up. The Beijing hub pinged first, 3 families in Sichuan sensing micro-shifts in the Earth's crust, days ahead of quakes. Reykjavik followed, isolated clans manifesting storm sites strong enough to reroute fishing fleets. Mom. Noah, 14 now, voice steady, burst into the command loft. The heart singing. They ran to the cap. Levi and Dr. Reed were already there, the brass sphere pulsing in perfect Morse, asterisk asterisk SANCTUARY asterisk asterisk. Started 20 minutes ago, Levi said. No circuitry explains it. Reed's instrument spiked. EM fields off the charts. It's broadcasting. Noah closed his eyes. Thousands. Running. Scared. The pattern sharpened. Clara translated aloud, asterisk asterisk sanctuary dot asterisk asterisk. 3 days later the first caravans arrived, flatbed trucks from the Dakotas, buses from the border, a fishing trawler that had crossed the Great Lakes with 20 kids below deck. South American refugees fleeing state registration camps. Eastern European teens smuggled out of villages that had turned to torches. African children cast out for speaking to ancestors in dreams. We can't house them all, Levi said, watching the tent city bloom across the fields. We'll make room, Clara answered. The mill had called, the prairie would answer. The county rallied, church basements, empty grain bins, RVs parked in perfect rows. The Institute's emergency fund stretched like harvest bounty. Stories poured out around campfires, governments tagging gifted blood, corporations patenting perception, old fears dressed in new laws. It's the convergence, Noah said one night, the mill's shadow long across the tents. The world's waking up, and some want to put it back to sleep. Clara pulled him close. Then we stay awake together. The sails turned steady, no longer signaling distress but welcome. In the new lecture hall, built where the cottage once burned, refugee scholars taught alongside Reed's postdocs. A girl from Lagos showed farmers how to taste water tables in the soil. A boy from Kiev mapped wind shear with a glance. Levi found Clara on the catwalk at dawn. Evelyn left a letter. He handed over a single sheet, prison stationery. Asterisk tell the hinge child the wolves are learning to herd sheep. I'm teaching them regret instead of hunger. The yield is yours. Asterisk. Clara folded it into her pocket. She's funding the new dormitory. Noah joined them, tablet glowing. Web's live, every beacon linked. We just got a ping from a lighthouse in Kerala. They're ready. Clara looked across the golden fields. Lights answered from every horizon, steady and sure. The grain had called them home. Now the world would learn to listen.